Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsa. Hamsa means a swan. A swan is one who is able to discriminate. If you give it water with milk, it will only drink milk, leave the water behind. So here the word Hamsa is denoted for the individual, he who has discrimination. Hamsa Shiva Soham. So that individual I am is none other than Shiva. Sa Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham means I am. Shiva, you understand, either you take it as the Lord Shiva or you take it as auspiciousness. The word means both. For the devotees, it is both are one and the same. There is no difference between them. Then Hamsa Shiva Soham. Soham Hamsa Shiva. Soham, I am. Hamsa, Soham, Hamsa, I am, again individual, the discriminate, who is able to discriminate, the Jivatma, the individuality, which is Hamsa, Soham Hamsa Shivaha. So here Shiva is given. So the potentiality. I am one with the potentiality also. I am not other than it. So first one said I am one with Shiva. Second says I am one with potentiality. Sa Shiva Soham Ham Saha. Sa is denoting the female, the potentiality. Sa Shiva. Sa is that potentiality. Shiva is that auspicious principle, the Purusha principle, the Atmic principle, the spirit. Sa Shiva Soham. Both I am. Sa Shiva Soham Hamsaha, the individual. In this way, the unity between the individuality, the supreme reality, and its potentiality, that is invoked within the seeker. If you do it, this is a Paramahamsa mantra, and it will help if you do it with understanding. But to get to this point, to recognize, what do we recognize ourselves at this moment? That I am a sinner, that I am not pure yet, that I am a seeker, that I am not the infinite. No, don't say that. If I call someone Mahatma, if I call someone, oh great one, you cringe within yourself. How can you say like that? We are not infinite one. That should not happen. And that is because our focus is on our shortcomings rather than our potential. And this shift must come about. And for this we come to the satsangs. One way to recognize it, this potential, this auspicious potential, this infinite potentiality which is inherent, part and parcel of our being, is by recognizing, first observation, when we look at the world, nothing is attached to anything in this world. Everything is having its own, for a moment it expresses, after that it's gone in the outer world. The day comes and goes, the month comes and goes, the year comes and goes, the childhood comes and goes, the youth comes and goes, the middle age comes and goes, the disease comes and goes, the old age comes and goes, and eventually death also comes and goes. So recognize this. Just like a tree is standing, and every year in autumn the leaves fall. So when the tree was growing, the branches came, the leaves came, the flowers came, the fruits came, so much. And along with that, the woodcutter came, who cut the branches and took it away for his fire, for cooking or whatever. But the tree remained there. He didn't complain. He doesn't cry, why my fruits are falling. He doesn't cry, why the fragrance of my beautiful flowers, I was looking so beautiful, where have they gone? He doesn't cry about that. In autumn, when all the leaves have fallen, he doesn't feel that, oh my God, something has been taken away from me, and goes into depression. No. We should be like that, standing tall, firm in abidance, and recognizing that everything in this world is coming and going. So also not only in the world, in our body also same thing is happening. When birth, growth, disease, decay, death, they are all like you wear the clothes and you throw them away after they are dirty or they are unable to be worn. Same way, the body also is thrown away by the spirit. But we have a problem. We get attached to our body. I am the body, and all the drama begins. But here we are for the observation, an acute observation, that you cannot hold the childhood that you have passed through. You cannot hold the teenage that you have passed through. You cannot hold the youth that you have passed through. You cannot hold any expression at this body level that has happened. Because the nature of the matter is to change. Let's come to the senses. You are the changeless, but your disposition that I am the body brings about the misery, the identification with the body. Same thing when we observe with our senses. The eyes are one, the vision in all the eyes of all the people is the same. But do the eyes get affected by what they are illuminating? So many objects come in front of the eyes, then go away. Eye remains the same. Eye doesn't become depressed. Oh, why you are going away? Why you are taking it away? The vision has no purpose other than illuminate. Recognize this. The physical eye or the vision has no purpose. It is its nature to illuminate, to light up whatever comes in front of it. Is it attached? No. Is your nose attached to any fragrance? No. So many different fragrances come. Tongue, is it attached? No. Tongue is just an organ of sense perception. And morning breakfast comes, spicy food comes, sweet food comes. It's okay. So tongue is not attached to any taste. Eye is not attached to any particular form. Ears, they are there. Continuously sounds are coming and going. They are not attached to any sound. And this way, only recognition is required that these five senses are not attached to what they illuminate. This is the principle. It's happening. Then you come to the mind. What is happening in the mind? The thoughts are coming and going. That is the nature of the mind, to have thoughts. Is the mind getting affected by the thoughts? If you observe coolly, even at this moment, from birth till now, so many thoughts have come and gone in your mind. Mind is the same. You never say the mind is gone. The mind is tired. The mind is exhausted. Its job is to think or not think. And whatever thoughts are coming, mind is not attached to the thoughts. It's only the substratum, the foundation on which the thoughts are appearing and disappearing. Watch this about yourself at this very moment. Then who is this idiot who gets disturbed? Who gets identified? If in nature nothing is attached to anything, senses are not attached to their stimuli, mind is not attached to to the thoughts, intellect is not attached to its convictions. When we were children, we were playing with toys and cars and dolls. That without it, oh my God, the life would be not worth living. We used to cry if someone took away any of our toys. But today we readily, easily, happily give away everything. We are not attached to those toys. So our convictions about ourselves, about our life, they have also changed as knowledge has come. And now we have come to the retreat or Vedanta class. Again, more knowledge is we are exposed to, and even more shift will take place. So, who is this person? If none of our faculties, is there anything apart from the world, the body, the senses, the mind, the intellect? Okay, one more thing. Isn't it your observation that every day waking comes and goes away, dream comes and goes away, sleep comes and goes away? Can you stop them? Can you force them to continue for a long period of time? Not possible. Eventually you will give up, because the nature of the intellect is to express as these. The conviction is there is waking, dream, deep sleep. So you can't hold to waking also when sleep comes. And when you wake up, you can't hold on to sleep also. But we try, don't we? Extra 5 minutes, extra 10 minutes. So nothing in this world you have ever been able to hold on. Only observation is required. Then who are you? You are the observer of this fact that is happening around, without and within. See? Who is this observer? Who is this witness? Don't get emotional here. Oh my God, I am not the seer, I am not the thinker. Oh my God, I am not the waker. Oh my God, then who am I? And actually, when you start deleting start observing everything as separate to you, then naturally this question will erupt in your bosom. Then who am I? Who is this me right now? Who's illuminating even the mind, intellect, senses, everything? Right now your eyesight is not working, ears are working. They are listening. The sounds are going in on your mind, the thoughts are coming. Who is illuminating the thought? Mind is not attached to the thoughts. One after the other, it's allowing. Just like road is not affected by the traffic, it allows the cars to come and go. Same way, mind is allowing the thoughts to come and go. Who is the observer? Observing this. I am observing this. So keep that distance from whatever is coming and going. Don't become the comer and goer. Be the observer, be the witness of that which is coming and going. And when we become acutely aware of this, automatically, spontaneously, in that acute observation, it will click. Hey, I am none of these which I have been thinking I am. And the next question will pop up. And who is this me? Who is aware of the thoughts coming and going in the mind? Who is this me who is witnessing the breath come in and go out? I am not doing anything, but the breath comes and the breath goes. I'm not doing anything. The thought erupts in the mind and then dissolves away in the mind. I did not bring it from outside. It came by itself. So even while being the witness of the thoughts, observer of the thoughts, very, very gently, without forcing, without efforts, without stopping anything or initiating anything, we become aware of ourselves. Initially, the mind will keep trying to say, yes, I am the awarer, I am the one who is observing, I am the witness, I am, I am, I am, soham, soham. But by grace, one moment, one day, it will click that even if I don't say Soham, I am, still I continue to be, because I am is only a mere thought. Thought doesn't determine my existence. In my presence, the thought comes and goes. Then I remain silent. The mind becomes silent. And I continue to be. Observe this right now. For some time I will not speak. You are continuing to be. Then I will speak. You still continue to be. Don't become the listener. Don't become the meditator. If we become someone, we have lost the plot. Becoming is equal to I am a seer, I am a hearer, I am a thinker, I understood. Even I am a witness is also becoming. And that needs to be dropped. By recognizing ourselves as the continuous principle. And this continuity is an unbroken continuity. Continuous. thoughts come, break away, die away, and then the next thought comes. In, in the self that I am, there is no break. The thought I may have a break, but what the I thought is representing, indicating, the essence, is the continuous one, and that I am. You will observe that your body is locked in position, and you can't work out the contours of your fingers, your legs. The shape of the body has as if melted away. The breath is slow and shallow. Thoughts very far apart. And you are the witness of all this. Who is this witness? I am. Who am I? Don't answer this question. Just be. This should be our disposition 24 by 7. Illuminating all the stimuli, yet not identified with the stimuli, thoughts, perceptions. Thus, continuously remaining as the continuous one. Taking a deep breath in, move your toes, fingers, shoulders, neck, and feel again the awareness of the body coming back. Now you know where your fingers are, where your toes are. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Offer the experience to the Lord so no memories remain.